massive, massive effort by Republicans to gain 12 seats in the midterm elections. This is a power play. This is using power to blunt losses in the midterms, Anna. Let's just be clear about that.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Friday, August 8th, 2025. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, the GOP's unprecedented redistricting power grab. Number two, Inside Speaker Mike Johnson's fundraising retreat. And number three, Senator Steve Daines, international power broker. We have all of the details. All right, Jake, welcome back.
Thank you.
We are excited to have you here this morning. A big thank you to Max Cohn, who filled in expertly and gave us, we went down the rabbit hole of who Max Cohn is, Jake, including his love of soccer and many other things yesterday. So it was a lot of fun, but we're happy to have you here.
I am happy the world now knows Max. Max is I think he was, Anna, the sixth employee. I think there's some question because we hired like three people at the same time. So back in the early days, I remember his onboarding was at a WeWork before we had our office and even before we had our townhouse, which is now Punchbowl News Global International Worldwide Studios.
Wow, all of those things in one sentence: global, home, international, worldwide.
The home of Flyout Day. Max preceded all of those things. So I am happy the world got to know him. And Anna, this morning, the top, and I'll just jump right into it. We wanted to put some context on what is now a massive, massive effort by Republicans to gain 12 seats in the midterm elections. And this is coming to the surface because the Speaker of the House in Florida, Daniel Perez, said he's going to start his own redistricting commission that is, according to our sources, mine, Allie's, Brez, and even I think Heather, our managing editor, participated in this reporting as well. They hope to net at least 3 seats, most likely Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Jared Moskowitz in South Florida and Darren Soto in Orlando. I will note 2 of the 3 of those have degrees from the George Washington University, which is maybe a coincidence. Maybe it isn't. Can't say yet. They could net up to 5. They could go after Kathy Castor in Tampa and Lois Frankel also in South Florida in Palm Beach, which is, I believe, Frankel is Donald Trump's congresswoman. But
and I thought you were going to go into her academic background.
I don't know where she went to college. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I do know that DWS is a Gator. Yes, she's definitely a Gator. But this is a home game for Trump team because of Susie Wiles and James Blair's experience in Florida, but now put this together with Texas, 5 seats, Missouri, 1 seat, Indiana, maybe 1 seat, 2 or 3 in Ohio. This is now a massive effort. And let's be clear here, like we know this, but we could say it again. This is an effort to cushion losses, and they say it's an effort to like better align the electorate with where the seats with where the electorate is. Like whatever, maybe that could be true, but this is a power play. This is using power to blunt losses in the midterms, Anna. Like, let's just be clear about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's kind of 2 things at play, right? You have Republicans clearly, and Donald Trump does not want to have a Democratic House, right? That would mean investigations. That would mean having to do negotiations. It would make his life a lot more difficult. And the White House is leading this effort, and now you see it kind of fanning out across the country. I think the other big point here that is important to note is Democrats have problems here. They have, kind of systematically in many states that are more democratically aligned, have tried to take the politics out of redistricting and making it much more difficult for them to try to overhaul their seats. They're talking about what can they do in California? What can they do in New York? But it is, they don't have the same kind of opportunities that Republicans do. And they know it, and they're bitter about it, frankly.
Of course, and California is not a sure thing. Like, let's be completely clear here. Like Gavin Newsom has a massive task ahead of him. It's in his political interest. It's in Democrats' substantive interest to get this done. But we could be, Anna, in a situation, and just let's be clear about this, where Republicans net enough seats to keep the majority in a slim way. Of course, it could be a really bad environment for Republicans, and I don't discount that, right? Like, I just don't. Like, it could be a nasty, nasty environment for Republicans come November 2026, which is, a little more than a year away. But they are giving themselves, I mean, this is legislatures with Trump allies, speakers of the House with Trump allies, not as much. Indiana's a different story. I think it's going to be more difficult there. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. Double-digit gains for the GOP in a mid-decade redistricting. Like it's massive. It's massive.
All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 2 story of the morning. We've got some news. Palantir CEO Alex Karp will address Speaker Mike Johnson's annual big donor retreat in Jackson Hole, Wyoming next week, according to multiple sources. There are a lot of people who will be making their way from Washington around the country to the Speaker's annual big money event. An interesting lineup here of folks from the administration, from the private sector. Also, Catherine Boyle, who leads the American Dynamism Fund for Andreessen Horowitz. Interesting to see who's going to be on stage here.
Yes. Let's start with Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, worth $15.7 billion. The co-founder, the CEO. You are the founder and the CEO of Punchbowl News, worth $15.8 billion. So,
same.
So like, where's your invite to these fancy things? Of course, we don't speak at members of Congress's retreat. So that's why you're not invited. This reflects Alex Karp and Palantir's growing influence in Washington. And we listed this out this morning, Anna, a few data points here. Karp is given to Democrats and Republicans, given pretty heavily to Republicans and to Democrats, pretty substantially to Democrats as well. John Hickenlooper, Chris Coons, Pat Ryan, he's given a Cornyn, he's given the NRCC, he's given a Johnson, he's given up, all sorts of people. But we looked up his lobbying. I mean, he's got Miller Strategies, he's got Brownstein Hyatt, he's got Brian Ballard's firm, he's got Heather Podesta's firm Invariant. I mean, he's got a big roster of super powerful and prominent lobbyists in town. And speaking at this retreat is just a sign of his power in DC. I mean, this is the retreat. I don't like to call this this is not a fundraiser. This is a different kind of retreat. This is donor maintenance. This is like if you are giving six figures to the House Republican political world, or you are about to, I think you actually have to have given. This is like, let's show you all these cool people and members and talk to you about strategy and all that stuff. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think it just shows to your point, I mean, where Palantir is in Washington, right? And government contracting and the Defense Department and kind of growing prominence of some of these new defense tech companies and the role that they are playing in Washington is for the long term. And clearly, it's interesting because so often you hear of new industries and they kind of don't get the religion on politics or how to kind of play in the political money space. And clearly Palantir is using all of the tools in the toolbox to assert itself as a major player in Washington. Let's move on to the number 3 story of the morning. Jake, Senator Steve Daines, a Republican from Montana. He is the unlikely international power broker helping bring together a few countries for a possible peace deal.
Azerbaijan and Armenia. Donald Trump is hosting the two leaders at the White House today to pave the way for a long, elusive peace deal between these two South Caucasus nations. And I'm going to say the names of the presidents of these two countries, and I'm going to try not to butcher them. Ilham Aliyev and Nikol Pashinyan. I could have butchered those. I don't know. But who the hell knew that Steve Daines, who is a senator from Montana and was the chair of the NRSC, is also an international power broker. He was in the region helping to lay the groundwork for this deal. I had no idea about this, and this is something kind of that only Andrew and Brez could get their hands on and figure out, because I would not think that Steve Daines had a lick of anything to do with the peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. You could put that in like the bottom of the list, Anna, of things that I thought would happen.
Well, it's also just, I mean, fascinating because we talk about codels a lot and members going to different places and traveling regions, and typically they are,
A joke.
I'm not saying they're not. I mean, I'm not saying they're worthless, but I would say they are a lot more of kind of ceremonial, for instance, of seeing different places. I mean, this was not the typical codel. They were live negotiating. The Andrew and Brezwright and Daines' message to the heads of the state was that the United States wants to be a reliable partner to both nations. We'll have to see whether the White House summit today is going to lead to lasting peace between these longtime foes, but just a fascinating look behind the curtain on how Daines really has served as a power broker here, and as you know, kind of an unlikely one for these two countries.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, just as context, like senators are treated like prime ministers when they're traveling abroad. So
Right.
it's not terribly surprising, but like I did not peg Steve Daines as a big power broker, to be honest with you.
All right, we will leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media, tell your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are on video now. And as always, you can go deeper on all of these stories and more by signing up for our free morning newsletter at punchbowl.news. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.